Today we're going to be talking about the false growth mindset. As always, we start with whichever ACGME clinician educator competencies that we are covering. Today we'll be covering ETP3, ETP7, ETP10, and WB1. So to talk about a false growth mindset, we need to review what growth mindset theory is. And so this is adapted from a prior faculty development by Ashley Saito. So psychologist Carol Dweck defined the fixed mindset, which is the idea that intelligence is static. People are unable to grow. And the growth mindset is that intelligence can be developed over time. And so important takeaways from that talk was that anytime someone has a challenge, it should be framed as an opportunity for growth. And if we acknowledge and embrace our imperfections, we can then adopt a growth mindset. There's a great article that I'll be reviewing in this faculty development, which is Beware the False Growth Mindset. Building growth mindset in medical education is essential but complicated. And so they talk about how Carol Dweck, the psychologist who came up with this term, growth mindset, coined the term false growth mindset. And this refers to some of the most common misunderstandings or misapplications of her work. And so let's go over a scenario. Let's say you are someone's coach and you have a really nice long-standing relationship with them, and you've coached them with their management reasoning and they've made so many improvements. And so they're coming to you because they just finished a rotation and they were told they have interpersonal communication issues and they received feedback on it. So as their coach, you're feeling really proud of your accomplishments with them and proud of them of how far they've come with management reasoning. So you sit down and you chat. And you talk about what's going on with regards to interpersonal communication. And so you share some laughs, share some tears, and you come up with a plan together to improve interpersonal communication. And you feel really good about the whole situation after you talk to them, and you're hopeful. What you notice then is they come to you over and over with the same problem. And at the end of every conversation, you're thinking, this is going well because they're telling me that they're ready to improve and they're going to take certain steps. But the change isn't happening. And this is when we need to unpack the idea of a false growth mindset. So table 1 of that article has 2 things that I wanted to review. And one is the idea that learners have either growth mindsets or fixed mindsets, or that a wide range of traits is evidence of growth mindset. And so for the first one, people in total do not either have fixed mindsets or growth mindsets. They have these mindsets for different facets. So in the example of the learner and the coach, that learner had a growth mindset for management reasoning. However, they do not appear to have a growth mindset for interpersonal communication. And so diagnosing the learner is part of what we have to do as clinician educators to help them move forward in their careers. The second thing is that it is very easy to perceive a positive response to feedback or sort of affability with the evidence of growth mindset when that actually might not be the case. So you may think this only applies to learner-coach or coachee-coach relationships, and that's not necessarily the case. Within the microcosm of an inpatient rotation, for instance, you might be on with a learner for a couple of weeks or even a month, and this is why it's so important to establish shared goals at the beginning of the rotation, in the middle, and then kind of review them. The more touch points you have, the more you can assess their abilities and assess their mindset. Do they have a growth mindset in certain facets and a fixed mindset in others, or vice versa? So really, the way to approach this, going back to our case, would be that you brainstorm with the learner and you try and really dig deep and say, what about this particular situation is not bearing fruit, because we were able to work on management reasoning together. And you really need them to reflect on the methodology by which they improved their management reasoning. And if that's not being applied in the same way, with the same determination, or a whole host of other things, you're not going to be able to see success in this parameter. And so hopefully you're able to do that. And for one last time, they tell you about interprofessional communication issues, you talk to them, you come up with a plan, and things go better. So some take-home points. Remember that learners can have fixed mindset in some domains and growth mindset in others. Do not conflate positive personal traits with growth mindset. If a fixed mindset is being masked by positive personal traits, you have to reflect with your learner as to why that is happening. And finally, here is a reference to that wonderful article. I made a tiny URL and a QR code so it's easier to access. And that's it.